Stephanie Vaquer is at the start of her WWE career and is already well on her way of becoming one of the biggest stars in the company. So today we'll be looking at 10 things you probably didn't know about Stephanie's life and career. Number 10. The story behind her first WWE tryout. Stephanie originally tried out for the company way back in 2018 when she was 25 years old. Although she was happy to be there and it was still a big moment in her life, Stephanie has explained that the tryout did not go in her favor. Stephanie was turned down, and she herself feels like she was rejected due to the fact that she was still green during that time period and needed to learn a lot more. She felt a lot of frustration and anger after being so close to her dream and having it ripped away like that. But Stephanie quickly turned that frustration into motivation. WWE was still the dream, still the end goal, but she realized that she had to work harder than before if she really wanted to make it there. So what Stephanie did next was travel the entire globe to learn different wrestling styles and master them all one by one. She went back to Mexico and learned more about the lucha libre style of wrestling and perfected it. Then she went over to Japan to learn their style of wrestling and master it as well. Not only learned the Japanese wrestling style, but Stephanie said she became close with the Japanese culture and even learned some of the language as well. She even joked herself that her Japanese is probably even better than her English, because that's how much she learned over there. Stephanie did not let that first tryout rejection serve as the end of her WWE journey at all. She stayed focused, got even more committed, and you can argue that the rejection even made her stronger and better in the ring, because it gave her a very big reason to go even harder with her training and learning. So the Stephanie see today was crafted and perfected, all thanks to the results of that 2018 tryout with the company. Number 9. Her time with AEW. Stephanie was never signed to AEW herself, but due to a partnership with CMLL, Stephanie did crossover and have a couple matches for AEW. Stephanie appeared on the June 29th, 2024 episode of AEW Collision, in where she did successfully defeat Lady Frost. Then her biggest AEW crossover match was against Mercedes at the Forbidden Door event on June 30th, 2024. Stephanie did not win that matchup, but it's still looked at as an amazing showing and match overall. Mercedes has even taken credit for WWE signing Stephanie, because she feels like that match right there made the company really gain interest in Stephanie as a talent. So Stephanie has truly wrestled all over the world and appeared in every major wrestling promotion that's out there. Number 8. Her face paint meaning and the deep story behind it. If you've seen any of Stephanie's appearances in the ring, then you've definitely noticed her amazing face paint near her right eye and right side of her face. What's the story there with the face paint? Well, Stephanie explained that in only her second ever wrestling match, she suffered a facial fracture on the right side of her face. This happened literally at the jumpstart of her career, and due to her time in Japan and really learning about their culture, Stephanie was aware of a tradition, which was called kintsugi. Stephanie gave an example of this tradition. She said that when something like a plate is broken, they repair the broken part of the plate with silver and gold, restoring its value and make it even better. The tradition is also meant to carry the philosophy of embracing impermanence and imperfection. You're taking a broken item and replacing the broken part with pure gold, making it more valuable than its original state, even though it's still technically a repair job. So Stephanie took that tradition and mindset and applied it to that facial fracture injury. She paints over the exact spot with her face paint as a way to symbolize her repairing the fracture and serving as a constant callback and reminder to the early days of her wrestling career. Such a cool and deep story that's very interesting to know about. The average viewer just probably thinks Stephanie just has nice face paint on because it looks cool, but the real meaning and story behind it is very deep and amazing. Number 7. Her return to Chile. In spring of 2025, Stephanie returned home to Chile for an emotional quick visit. She appeared on the main local news stations to talk about WWE, her recent accomplishments, and what she's doing in the company. Stephanie even met with the mayor of San Fernando during this visit. But the biggest highlight of this visit for Stephanie was seeing her family again and paying them a visit. She said that despite winning a lot of championships all over the world throughout her career, her father never got to see one of those wins and championships in person. So during this visit back home, Stephanie brought her father 2 replica titles of the North American title and the NXT Women's title. Now her father has a constant physical reminder of the success his daughter has reached in the world of pro wrestling. Number 6. Training with a legend. Stephanie trained directly under the legendary Ultimo Guerrero, with Guerrero as one of her main mentors. It helped develop her hard-hitting technical style and high-flying abilities. Number 5. She left home very early in her life. Stephanie packed her bags and left home at just 16 years old to chase her pro wrestling dreams. She took off to Mexico, and that's where her journey started. Stephanie picked Mexico because she heard that's where the best wrestling schools were at, and she wanted to be with the best of the best. Stephanie also said that pro wrestling schools don't really exist in Chile, so there was nowhere local for her to really study and learn at. Stephanie said her trip to Mexico was supposed to be just for 6 months, and then she'll come back home. But after being around the environment, the schools, and the people, she loved it so much that she never went back home after those first 6 months. Number 4, the bidding battle between WWE and AEW to sign Stephanie. Summer 2024 featured a massive back and forth between WWE and AEW trying to sign Stephanie to their respective promotions. Stephanie had just become a free agent, and everyone wanted her. The final 2 horses left in the race to sign Stephanie came down to WWE and AEW, some of the biggest wrestling juggernauts out there, which only made the decision that much harder for Stephanie. AEW's final offer to Stephanie included a massive payday, a big salary number that no other company could match. Stephanie said that even WWE was upfront with her and told her that they can't match the number that AEW was offering her and wished her luck in AEW. But Stephanie had a deep conversation with Shawn Michaels, where they went over that if it's not about the money, and if it's about just following her heart and her dreams, maybe she should take a chance and sign with WWE to really fulfill that lifelong dream. And whatever else Shawn Michaels and Stephanie went over in that conversation ultimately worked. Stephanie turned down the massive payday from AEW to take a smaller pay from WWE, and checked off that lifelong dream that she always had for herself. Number 3. She's dating a fellow superstar. In spring of 2025, it was revealed and confirmed that Stephanie and Miles Bourne are dating. Miles even referred to Stephanie as his Chilean queen on a social media post. Number 2. Making WWE history. Stephanie is the first woman to win and simultaneously hold 2 singles titles in the NXT Women's Division. Stephanie accomplished this after winning the North American Championship and the NXT Women's title. There was some conversation and remarks from Mandy Rose, who said that she herself was actually the first double champion in NXT, but Mandy's double win was a merger, 2 titles being unified into 1 title. Mandy never defended each title separately like Stephanie did, so fans may debate that fact, but when it comes to the official history books, they look at Stephanie as the first double champion in the history of the NXT Women's Division. Number 1, Stephanie's hot dog story that's full of highs and lows. The year was 2008. Stephanie was just 14 years old when she was watching WWE on TV, and suddenly a local commercial aired, mentioning how a big WWE event was coming to Chile. It was extremely rare for WWE to come to Chile, so Stephanie was shocked and excited. Stephanie said she'll never forget the commercial. It was Rey Mysterio who was speaking in that advertisement. Stephanie told her parents that she had to go to the show, but they said she was too young to travel to the capital alone. Plus, they mentioned how expensive it must be. Stephanie grabbed her sister's computer and looked up the cheapest price ticket and set out to do whatever it takes to buy that ticket. It was Stephanie's sister who gave her the suggestion that she could maybe sell something to raise the funds. Her sister suggested hot dogs. Stephanie got the avocado and tomatoes by stealing it from her own mother's store, while her sister bought the bread and sausages. Stephanie then went door to door selling these hot dogs to all of her neighbors. By the time Stephanie had money for the ticket, it was announced on television that the specific event she was aiming to attend had sold out. Stephanie cried after the announcement, but even if it was available, she only had the money for the 1 single ticket. She didn't have anyone to go with her and still needed funds for the transportation. So either way, it was going to be a challenge. But just a few days later, a new show was announced for February 13th, 2008. Due to the high ticket demand, Stephanie went right back to begging her parents, and it was her older sister that offered to take her and brought the second ticket. Stephanie said she was just a few rows down from being at the highest seats in the arena, but she was still thrilled to be in person, and after all those years of being a fan, she also saw Rey Mysterio in action that night as well. So Stephanie has had a long journey to get to this point, and hopefully the future stays very bright for her. And hopefully you learn something new about the Chilean-born superstar as well. So leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.